What's up, Sabres Nation? Data here with episode 6 of the Buffalo Sabres Franchise Mode, fixing the dumpster fire that has been the Buffalo Sabres. We've taken it back from the Pagulas. We've taken it back from Jason Botterill. In our first season, we did very well, finishing 8th in the NHL. We made it to the Eastern Conference Finals, and coming off of our first draft and re-sign phase, we now find ourselves on July 1st with a few questions, a good amount of money, and many decisions to make heading into our next season concerning RFAs, free agents, and extension deals. Now, in the last episode, there were a ton of comments. Now, I'm not going to be able to read through every single one, but I have in front of me a paper. I wrote down every single comment. I watch listed every player that was suggested to me. I trade blocked everyone that was said to be traded, and we're going to weigh the options of everything. Just because I don't read the comment, I try my best to reply to every single one, at least in text and also in the video. But let's hop into it. We have a lot to get done in this off season. And thank you to everyone who commented talking about if I should do Twitch or YouTube streaming. My plan as of now is to do my very first stream on YouTube, give a notification to all the subscribers, get them made aware that I'm doing a live stream if they haven't watched the last couple episodes, and then from then on forward move over to Twitch so that we can branch out to a new audience, we can get some new people in the chat, we can redirect them to the channel and get them on board to join the team that we have created here on the channel. So that's my current plan as of now. Maybe a week from today, or a week from today when this gets uploaded, I think is going to be my tentative date for my first stream. I'm looking into getting a better microphone, of course, so that no one has to get their ears hurt by this not terrible quality, but not quite the top quality mic that I'm using right now. So let's hop into the comments pertaining to this episode. First, we're thinking about people that we're going to trade. Dictator Zav Gaming, insight on Larson. You already have enough depth. You should qualify him and then get some more draft picks. And what he meant to say after he corrected himself in his next comment was he was only halfway through. Try and trade him for maybe a third or a fourth, maybe even a team's fifth. So we're definitely gonna have to do something like that to free up some cap space. Gareth Sanford says, trade Okposo. He's 31. He's going to start to drop soon. Yeah, definitely. We weren't going to trade him for like a 7th round pick right off the bat when we started off the franchise mode. But now that the team is getting better and that salary cap is becoming more of an issue, I'm going to see if there's an option that we can do to move Kyle Okposo, because he's not terrible. He's a very serviceable player. He had a 20-point season on the 4th line, 12 goals. It wasn't the worst thing in the world. I definitely can't just trade him straight up. I'm going to have to retain maybe a 30-50% of his salary. He still has three more seasons at $6 million, so it's going to hurt us a little bit, but retaining maybe like $2.5 million is better than keeping all $6 million. Now, concerning other deals that we want to make in this episode, Kyle Bristol says that I should go after Granlund, who always grows to 87 or 88 when on the right line, and to also sign Josh Anderson to replace the Wayne train. Once I go through all these comments, I'm going to tell you how the lineup looks right now and what positions we need to fill. So Granlund and Josh Anderson, two options that we're looking at. Dictator Zav, another comment that he made was that he would go for Evan Rodriguez, low trade value, and it would be a temporary solution that we may or may not need for the center position. Jack Milne said to trade Cousins ASAP. He's only gotten above an 85 once or twice for him, and you can get a lot for him in terms of trade value. Also go after Hayden Fleury if I'm looking for a buy low option. Now, Cousins, I've heard a lot of mixed opinions on Cousins, whether he grows or not. I think to just keep it realistic, I'm going to at least give him the chance to play in Rochester before I cut bait on him. We'll see how he does after a season in Rochester, and if we move him, he'll still have value, even if it's after this season. Pat Silly says, another great video, brother, and I'm pretty much just saying that Michael Rasmussen would be a great addition from the Detroit Red Wings. He was a godsend in his franchise mode, and he's 6'6". I believe he's a sniper, but he can get changed to a power forward, being 6'6", 78 overall, 20 years old, top 6 potential, and that it's worst case scenario, bad chemistry, and he's a good trading asset. Best case, he's a stud top 6 power forward for the next decade. So that's a good option as well that we're going to add to the watch list. While I'm speaking, I'm going to just go over to the watch list itself and show you guys all the options that have been spoken about. Mayor0508 Gaming says Stastny would be a good option for a playoff push, and if he still has an expiring deal by the trade deadline, a second would be a good option to trade for. So I think that could be something that we definitely do at the trade deadline if he's needed. Like, if we go and get somebody, Paul Stastny might be that guy on an expiring deal. 83 overall, had 54 points last season, a great centerman, seems to fit the line, so that's something to keep in mind for the trade deadline. Justin Daniel McLaughlin, let me know if I said that right. He tells me, it looks so weird seeing someone do franchise mode of my favorite team. A suggestion of a player to add to your team who did well on the Ducks franchise was Sam Steele. Might be a nice target. So Sam Steele, he was great for us in the Anaheim Ducks franchise mode. He ended up being a pillar on our team for years and years. Last season, he got 21 goals, 27 assists, 48 points. He is on an expiring deal, I believe, at 82 overall, 22 years old. The expiring deal is tough because I don't know if we can really re-sign him for much. I don't know if we have much to re-sign him for, but that's an option. We have to look at that. He also replied later on in his comments saying that Christian Vesalainen could be someone to go after if I were to trade Dylan Cousins. He has a ton of trade value, even though he's on the block, so it's definitely an option down the road, but like I said, Cousins is not a piece that I want to move just yet. Zerzara says, at the center position, go for Koivu. He's an old zip, I know, but he does really well and will probably fit both second and third line going forward. He's good in the playoffs. It works really well. Don't do Granlund. He usually doesn't fit any lines. He'll do a +1. Feels like he's a troublemaker. So we have morale off, so troublemaker isn't really a big issue, but it's more the line fit. We have 3 bars guaranteed that he fits our top 6 lines, and for Mikko Koivu, who's also a free agent and wants a lot less money, he is 37 years old. It says that he fits our first line, but he wouldn't be playing our first line. He'd be playing our second line. He's already listed as a third line forward. So I love Mikko Koivu. Saku Koivu is one of my favorite players all time. I don't know if Mikko Koivu is going to be the option. We'll see once it comes to our free agent signings. Speaking of Granlund, Michael Bruno Vaselli says that he thinks Granlund is the best option of all the centers. It's just a temporary fix. Mohamed Diami said go for Morgan Frost and Jumbo Joe Thornton. And I'm Vic said that I should go for Granlund and maybe even trade for Hayden Fleury's rights. Also try and trade a UFA with a heavy contract, maybe Miller or Okposo, to Tampa Bay for Anthony Cirelli's rights. So very interesting. There's a lot of different possibilities and permutations that we could take with this team. Now, the biggest concern right now is that we want to re-sign our guys. We want to re-sign Sam Reinhart and Dominic Cahoon. Sam Reinhart, 6 years we were looking at for him, and I think around 8.250 was the dollar value that we were looking at. So I'm going to go ahead and offer him that right off the bat. 6 years at 8.250, and we'll see what he's thinking from there. Just off the bat, that's what I like to offer him. Bang, there you go. We're at 14.33. Now coming over to Dominic Cahoon. Speaking of Cahoon, the lines currently, if Cahoon is in our lineup, the first line would look like Skinner, not Skinner, it would be Olofsson, Eichel, and Reinhart. Second line would be Skinner, free agent center, and Puljujärvi. Third line would be Cahoon, Middlestat, and Guryanov. Fourth line would be Timashov, Big Z, and Okposo. So if we get Cahoon, I'd like to have him in that third line left wing role. 2 years at 3.175 keeps him as an RFA. 85% isn't really something that you do too often in free agency, but it is a good guide. And that brings it down to 2.698. So 2 years at 2.725 is probably pretty fair for Dominic Cahoon. I'd like to offer him that. And now we have to free up some money, because if we want to go after a free agent centerman with that cap space that we have, if both those contracts get signed, it leaves us with $3.758 million, and I would like to trade some of our depth that I signed a little too expensive, thinking that they'd be fourth liners, but now they're just like 100% depth. So that means I'd have to trade both Jimmy Vesey and Johan Larsson. What am I saying? He had 40 points in the AHL last season. I like him very much, but I can't keep him, I don't think, at 1.225, and Jimmy Vesey at 1.350 is also a bit expensive. I like Jimmy Vesey. I wanted to make him be like reborn on this franchise mode, but it's tough to make two-way forwards grow. So if I just go to the fine trade, I wouldn't mind dumping these guys just for anything pretty much. They don't have much value. I don't think there's a prospect that I'd really go after for two guys with no value. Wilson will be my new depth, by the way. If I go to the trade finder, I can get a third and a fifth or 2/4, it looks like. A third and a fifth or 2/4. Yeah, it looks like that. A third in 2022. I get a third this year. Do I want a third this year or a third next year? I get the third and a fifth this year. Let me look at our draft pick situation first. This year we have no third round pick, and neither do we have a third round pick next year. So this year we go 1, 2, 5, 6. Next year is 1, 2, 4, 6. I think I'd rather take a third this year, maybe, because we might be trading our second round pick at the trade deadline. I think a third this year makes sense. From a contender like the Florida Panthers, yeah. I don't think there were really bad teams that offered us any other deals. Panthers may be the worst. We want to get the highest possible third and fifth. Maybe Minnesota. That's from Vancouver, so maybe Montreal or Nashville. That might be our best option. St. Louis, Toronto, they're pretty half decent. Montreal, they're usually not too great, I don't think. So, you know what? Let's try with Montreal Canadiens. We'll give them Jimmy Vesey and Johan Larsson for a third and a fifth round pick. I'm going to go ahead and make the fifth round pick for next season since we already have a fifth right now. And I'll see if they even want to throw in a seventh as well. So a third this year and a fifth and a seventh next year to just take the contracts of Jimmy Vesey and Johan Larsson. What do you say, Marc Bergevin? Trade rejected? Okay, just the fifth then. Trade accepted. Thank you very much, Mr. Bergevino. Get some more cap space. It brings us to 15.688. I thought it would bring us to a bit more, but 15.688 with those contracts that we just offered. That leaves us with $4.7-ish million. Bit tight to go after a guy like Granlund. It would be pretty tight. So for our second line center, we're looking pretty much our only options in free agency. The only people that we're really considering are Michael Granlund, Joe Thornton, Mikko Koivu, Anthony Cirelli, and Evan Rodriguez. Now, right away, we can kick some people out, I think, due to line fit. Evan Rodriguez, he's formerly from the Buffalo Sabres. I like him. He has some potential, medium top 9, but it says that he only fits the fourth line and penalty kill, so I think just that will disqualify him, unfortunately, and he only has 75 face-offs. Anthony Cirelli now, he wants a lot less money, but he is the RFA, so I'd have to trade for him. That's the problem. I'd probably just trade the picks that I just got for Anthony Cirelli's rights. He has 82 face-offs, which is very nice, but he's a two-way forward, and we don't know much about him for the Pro Scout assessment. He's coming off a 27-point season in 82 games. That's something. Mikko Koivu, we already talked about him. Says he fits the first line. I'm just worried that he's going to drop. Same with Joe Thornton. Both of them have top 6 potential, but 37 and 40 years old respectively. Thornton, that's a bit expensive. I know he's a fantastic playmaker. Love Big Joe, but I'm scared that he's going to drop by the start of the season to like an 81. And then what's the point? At 81, I could have gotten someone for $2 million instead of $4.5 million. Michael Granlund now, he wants 4 years. I wouldn't keep him for 4 years. It'd probably be more of a 2-year kind of thing. He does only have 75 face-offs, but the 4-star puck skills, 4-star shooting, 4-star skating are all tempting. Plus, it says he fits our top 6 forwards. So I think, honestly, it comes down realistically to Michael Granlund or Anthony Cirelli. Cirelli is a much cheaper option, just that it's tough as an RFA because they'll probably definitely match no matter what I send. So I'd have to trade for his rights. If I trade for his rights and sign him for 1.5 or whatever, that leaves me some money to go after Hayden Fleury. And if I sign Hayden Fleury, then that means I could trade like Jake McCabe and free up another $2.8 million. So there's a lot of stuff going on in my head right now if I can trade for these guys. So Hayden Fleury and Anthony Cirelli, I'm going to see what it would cost to trade for them. If I could trade Jake McCabe straight up for Hayden Fleury's rights, that would be pretty wild. I know that wouldn't happen, but at least like, you know, McCabe and some picks or something. Fleury, he has some value for sure. 80 overall, 23 years old. They do want Jake McCabe. He's 26. Was Jake McCabe originally from... no, he was drafted by us. I thought he might have been drafted by Carolina. So he's a good defenseman. He had 16 points last season for us. He was a plus 23. I like Jake McCabe very much, but he is on an expiring deal, and I think I'd much rather have Hayden Fleury with his low elite potential and being 3 years younger. So if I could trade them Jake McCabe, maybe I throw in rookie skater if you don't really have anybody. Asplund has grown nicely. Ruotsalainen, Ristolainen, however you want to say that. He's 22 years old, 64 overall. That could be something. R2, he's undrafted grinder. Yeah, he's never going to make this team. So just like this, how close am I? They're not very close. You're not where you need to be. Draft picks, we have the first, second, third here. But that's tough. How close do we get with a 5th round pick? What do they say? It's too far off. To be honest, I could just throw in the 3rd round pick from Montreal. It's as if I just traded them Jimmy Vesey. What do they say to this? Still traded, sweeten it just a touch. Okay, so this could definitely go through, and I believe that it will. Jake McCabe being gone will free up some cap, which is a big, big need. If I could just take on, I'll give them a 6th round pick next year. Trade reject is still a bit low for us. See, whenever they say this, it starts getting me angry. Here's a 7th round pick from the year after. Never traded picks from more than 3 years away, but trade accepted. Thank you very much, Carolina. Jake McCabe, thank you for your service here in Buffalo, but Hayden Fleury, I'm very excited to have him on the team, and I hope that he won't want too much money, but we have $17.758 million now. We have to think about extending Rasmus Dahlin after all these free agents are done as well. So Hayden Fleury, he wanted like $2 million for 3 years. Yeah, it would keep him as an RFA. Yeah, that's a good deal. So I'm going to try giving him 3 years, but I'm going to really lowball him right off the bat. Hopefully no one sends an offer sheet just yet. I'm going to try to give him 3 years at 1.550. Keeps him as an RFA, and we'll go from there. If all those deals get signed, we currently have $5.2 million or so. So I could definitely go after Michael Granlund and or Anthony Cirelli. I want to look at Anthony Cirelli's trade value quickly. He is on their trade block as well, which is a big plus. Just that I really don't have anything left to toss in. I'd have to trade Zemgus. I really don't want to trade Zemgus. It would be freeing up more money, but no, we love Big Z here in Buffalo. Love Big Z. I want to have success with him. I don't want to lose him. I could throw in this guy Ellie, who 25 years old, medium top 9. Yeah, Asplin's even better than him, so I guess I could throw in Ellie. I'm really scraping the bottom of the barrel here to try and find people to throw in this deal. Curtis Lazar. Could I throw in Okposo and keep some money? Could this be the deal? No, they don't have enough money to do that. Oh wait, hold on. They don't have any money. I could just send Anthony Cirelli a offer sheet straight up, and they wouldn't be able to match it unless they did something with some sort of trade. So you know what? I'm not going to trade for Anthony Cirelli. I'm going to try to sign him as an RFA, and we'll see where that goes from there, because they don't have the money. So we want to not give up any picks either at the same time, and that has to be like 1.275, I think. Or is it 1.250? Yeah, 1.250. The lowest is 3 years, so yeah, I'm going to offer him 3 years at 1.250, and we'll see what happens there. Now, once again, if that offer gets accepted, we deduct another 1.250. It leaves us with 3.9 million. That's really pushing it for Michael Granlund. I'm not going to try and sign Granlund just yet, because if Cirelli signs, then we can just, I know it's a bit makeshift, but he could play second line center, and hopefully he fits. Just that he's a great asset. I like Anthony Cirelli as a third line center long term, because Casey Middlestad's really going to be our second line center long term. But Granlund, I really wanted Granlund as well. Just let's simulate a couple of days and see what we're looking like before we start getting upset with anything. And before Rasmus Dahlin starts wanting more money, I also want to extend him. We were talking about that in the last episode. We got to get him signed ASAP, because he's going to be wanting a boatload of money. The max we can keep him as an RFA is 6 years. So 6 years at 9.475. 85% of that is 8.05 million. So something around 8.075 for 6 years. That would keep him as an RFA, and that would be a very nice contract. So with all that taken care of, we can finally simulate a few days. Hopefully Granlund doesn't get signed before we figure things out. I sent out some contracts to some scouts, yeah, and they're hopefully going to be signing on. Perfect. Oh, this is the big moment of truth, boys and girls. This is the big moment of truth. Who's going to sign on? Miller and a fourth for 2 seconds. That's interesting. This should be some signings. Okay, Dominic Cahoon is on board. Hayden Fleury, okay, understandable. That was a bit too cheap. Anthony Cirelli rejects, understandable as well. Okay, so Anthony Cirelli rejects. We're not going to be getting him unless I trade it for his rights. Michael Granlund, he's still here. Thank goodness he's still here. Michael Granlund. Okay, no one is interested in him yet either. I'm going to send him a deal. I should have enough money with Fleury, yeah, especially with Fleury not signing and Cahoon already being signed. Let's try 4 years at, just got to hope that no one else offers him anything. 4 years at 4.5, is that good for a second line center? That's pretty good. I don't like overpaying whenever there's no other teams interested. So let's do it. 4 years at 4.5 million. We'll see what Michael Granlund says, and then we'll go from there with Fleury. And okay, Dahlin, thank you. He's re-signed for 6 more years. Fantastic. The cornerstone of this franchise, along with Jack Eichel. Sam Reinhart rejects because of the dollar value. That's okay. I just got to get Michael Granlund signed up. Miller as well, still there. We might not even have to trade Kyle Okposo. Michael Granlund, yes, okay. Welcome aboard, Michael Granlund, our second line center. Bang, you love to see it. Ho-Sang's being offered to us as well, man. Okay, so with that taken care of, Cirelli's not going to happen. We wanted to make him happen, but at least we got Fleury. So it's just Reinhart and Fleury pretty much. We have $12.158 million. He didn't want 8.250 for 6 years, so we're going to try 6 years at 8. Let's see. Let's do 8.5. 8.5 for 6 years is more fair. And for Hayden Fleury, that still leaves us with a good amount of money, so we'll try 3 years at 1.650, an extra $100,000. Because if all those deals go through, that leaves us with a full lineup, unless we were to move Okposo. And then on defense, we're full as well, so no need to go for a guy like Josh Ho-Sang, even though I'm still very interested in him. But he wants 3.1 million for 2 years. How much did he want again for 1 year? 1.5. I could definitely get him. Just that if I did, he'd be my fourth line right winger. I don't want to bury him on the fourth line when he really fits our second line, because Puljujärvi is going to be up there with Skinner and Granlund. We'll keep that on the back burner for now. We still just want to make sure Reinhart and Fleury get signed before we start sending out any other offer sheets. What do you say, boys? Second and a fourth for Sorensen? What? Come on, boys. What do you say? Fleury rejects. Okay. I'm going to just advance one more day, and so does Reinhart. All right, all right. I got to get these done before people start offering them offer sheets. Maybe their demand has gone down a little bit. Okay, now he wants 9.575. So let me try just a little bit more, like not much. I would try like 8.550 for 6 years since his demands have gone down. And for Hayden Fleury, he wants 2.8 now? What? He wanted 2 million. 2.8? Come on. That's not going to happen. I'll give you what you were asking for, since you're still cheaper than Jake McCabe. Even a little less. I'll try 3 years at 1.950. Come on, don't start giving me garbage here. Let's go. A first and a third to St. Louis for Devin Tays and Josh Ho-Sang. So it looks like Ho-Sang is going to be signing up with the St. Louis Blues once they get him once they give him a contract. Come on, boys. Fleury still rejects. Come on, Reinhardt. Your demands are going down. Sammy. Reinhardt, now he wants 9.5. Come on, you should be signing for what I'm offering you. Let's try 6 years at 8.650. He's a first liner. He'll be worth it, but it's still, I'm not going to go too high. Fleury still wants 3 years at 2.825. Come on, buddy. You're killing me here. I'll give you 3 years at 2.075. We're lucky this is a year that people don't have a lot of teams don't have a lot of money for offer sheets. Another day should be it. Fleury still rejects. Biff. And Reinhart rejects as well. Reinhardt's demands are down to 9.475. Come on, your demands keep getting lower, and I keep offering you more and more money. 6 years at 8.675. And for Hayden Fleury, he wants still the same thing. 3 years at 2.225. Another day here. Fleury rejects. No surprise there. And Reinhart rejects. Who are the free agents that are left now in the NHL? There's still a good amount of people. Reinhardt, his demands are down to 7.1, finally. Thornton wants 3.9. Kovalchuk's here. Jake Virtanen. Cirelli still hasn't been signed either. Fleury, yeah, because it says he wants 1 year, 1.475. but still at 3 years. His demand for 2 years has gone down, but his demand for 3 years is still at 2.875. So I'll try 3 years at 2.225. And for Sam Reinhart, he wants 1 year, 7.1. That's not what I want to give him. I want to give him... Now, he wants 6 years, 12.5 million? What are you saying? He's realized that a long-term deal is not going to work out, I guess, and that's why he's changed his bargaining technique here. He wants 6 years, 12.525. Come on, that's not going to happen. 2 years keeps him as an RFA, so I could sign him up just for 2 seasons, and then we'll go from there. Boy, that's crazy, crazy, crazy money. Let's go 2 years. It does leave me some more options with that being lower. 2 years, 7.850. If they don't sign this, I'm going to like the end of August and seeing if anyone gives me an offer sheet, because that's going to just end up be better. Fleury rejects. Goodbye, Fleury. And Reinhardt, yeah, I believe this signing will be good for myself and the franchise. Don't even look at my face until training camp, you disgraceful fool. Alright, it's August 20th now, so demands have not changed much for Hayden Fleury. I'm going to offer him, he's now at 2.775 for 3 years, so I'll give him 3 years, 2.275, and if he doesn't accept that, we'll wait another couple weeks. But so we're going to get an offer sheet any day now, with his demands keep dropping and getting closer to September. And he rejects the offer, goodbye. August 28th now, we gave him a few days to cool down. Let's try it again. There's still a few RFAs here. Jake Virtanen and Anthony Cirelli still yet to sign. He wants 1 year, 1 million. Come on. Fine, I'll give you your 2 years that you're begging for. 2 years at 1.5 million. I could have given you a 3rd year. Come on, Bello. Colin Miller. A lot of people are asking me about Colin Miller. I'd put him on the block. Kyle Okposo still taking up a lot of money, but it looks like he'll live another day in Buffalo, so he'll keep being a 4th liner for us. I've decided to accept your offer. I look forward to making an impact on the team. You too. Don't even look at me until training camp, and even then, you better kiss my feet and bring me luxurious pastries for all the trouble I've gone through. Remy Ellie signs his RFA deal as well. I think we're pretty much set for the upcoming season. Now, going back to our trade list here, watch list. So of all the things we have to get done in this episode, I can check off a few of them. We traded Larson, we traded VC. We couldn't get Timo Meier because another thing, that was another suggestion from Zerzara, but I couldn't get him because it says he doesn't fit our lines. I know he's a nice power forward to fit on the first line, but if he doesn't fit, he doesn't fit. I'll try to get a scout to scout more of him, and then we can figure it out from there. Sam Steele, he was on an expiring deal. I wasn't super interested. Granlund we got. Rodriguez didn't work. Trading Okposo's not yet. So I can remove Michael Granlund from the watch list now that we got him on the team, and same goes for Hayden Fleury. Josh Hosang signed 2 years, 3.1 with the Blues. That's good for him. Rodriguez signed with the Blue Jackets in the end. Now, the guy that I was really looking at, and Thornton goes to the LA Kings. From that comment from Pat, he was saying about Michael Rasmussen, about how he would grow very well and do well on the team. Now, if I were to get Michael Rasmussen, he'd probably be the 4th line center, which means trading Big Zemgus. I don't know if he fits our lines either. That is the big issue. So I really want to follow what Pat said. It was a great comment, very in-depth, but I just don't know about the line fit yet. So I'm going to send out a scout to look at Rasmussen once the season gets going, and then that'll be an option that we look at moving forward. I just want to see how Zemgus starts to simulate, and as well what our pro scouts have to say about Rasmussen and even Timo Meier. So we'll finish off the rest of the offseason, and then I will see you once we have an idea of how these lines are going to look. Alright, so I'm just waiting on a few free agents to sign for depth and for the AHL. Nick Baptiste is back in the franchise. Jordan Schmaltz is here, and so is Andreas Borgman and Juuso Ikonen. Perfect. We lose our first preseason game 5-2, but now we can hop into the lines. So first things first, here's the bad news. Lucas Raymond's going to be in the AHL this season. We already knew that. But with our current coach, he does not really fit anywhere. First line, definitely not. Not really the second line, and really not the 3rd or 4th line either. So when Lucas Raymond comes up to this team, he'll likely kick the coach out the door if he's really that good, or we'll have to find some compromise because he's not going to be able to play on that top line with the current chemistry that he does have. Especially considering the line fits, about how we have have no defensemen who fit our penalty kill or our power play, it may not be the worst idea to think about a new coach in the coming years, even though we still get the +5 on that first line. But anyway, speaking of that +5, here are the forward lines moving into year number 2. First line, Olofsson, Eichel, Reinhart with a +5. Check marks for everybody. Olofsson's like an 89, Eichel like a 98, and Reinhart a 94. Second line, Gurionov, Granlund, and Skinner. I was thinking Puljujärvi, and he does fit, but I think I'd rather put Gurionov, who's listed as a second line forward and is an 83 overall. So with the +3, Granlund and Gurionov are both playing like 86, and Skinner like an 88. Hopefully he can have a huge breakout season, even better than last year with this line. Third line, Puljujärvi, Casey Mittelstadt, and Dominic Cahoon. Mittelstadt does fit the second line very well, so he'll be a perfect second line center in the future if we keep this coach. Cahoon and Puljujärvi all get the +1. It's a nice third line. Fourth is Timashov with Big Z and Kyle Okposo. Not the most ideal fourth line, but it does get the +1. Power forward, playmaker, two-way forward. I have high hopes for it. On defense, each pairing gets a +1. Dahlin, Ristolainen, Montour, Jokiharju, and Colin Miller with Hayden Fleury, who fits best on first and third pair. Once again, not the greatest coach fit. Some people fit really well, some people just don't, so I don't know. He has like a 72% team fit, so we'd have to find someone really good if we swapped him out. For the special teams, 4-man power play, none of the defense fits, so it's hard to get anyone with a plus to get anything going. But on the power play, both units get a +1 at the very least here. Reinhart, Eichel, Skinner, then Granlund, Mittelstadt, Olofsson. 2 defense on this one, 2 forwards on the second one. On the penalty kill, I'm still trying to figure it out. As of now, I think it'll look something like this. Not ideal, but it does give us the zeros at least. That's how it is when no one fits except like Cahoon and Puljujärvi. Mittelstadt does fit as well. So we have 3 forwards who fit. 3 players on the entire team who fit. Mittelstadt, Cahoon, and Puljujärvi. But I didn't want to put him on here because he already gets power play time. Give a little time to Big Z, since a two-way forward does work better than a sniper for the chemistry. Even though he fits and Zemgus doesn't, him being a sniper gives it a -1. Also, Hayden Fleury does fit. I forgot to mention that. So he is the 4th player that fits on this team. The 3rd one. The 4th one, yeah. But he will, I think Colin Miller will, yeah, you know what? Hayden Fleury, you can have some time on the ice. You can get some penalty kill time. 3rd pair and penalty kill. 3-man PK, whatever. Goalies, of course, Linus Ullmark, the 83 overall, who has 4 more years at 1.7, backed up by Michael Hutchinson. Scratched, we have Jordan Schmaltz as our defensive fill-in. He fits on the 1st and the 3rd pair very well. And Remy Ellie, a 2nd-round pick of the Dallas Stars, who will be our forward depth. In the AHL, once again, not great coaching there. I couldn't really find anyone better, so I had to roll with my associate coach who I promoted. Lucas Raymond gets a +1 with Dea and Asplund. Baptiste Wilson and Eakin get a +3 down here. Pouliot and Wood unfortunately only get a +1, and Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen has grown to a 77 overall with 2 years left on his entry level deal. Scratches right here. And to also note that for the Dylan Cousins, he is in the juniors, so we could call him up to play in the NHL. That would be something we can do. Dylan Cousins could be our 4th line center maybe. He's listed as a 4th line forward. He's 78 overall, but if not, it'll be another year in the juniors, which I'm not super excited about. And speaking of 4th line center, a 3rd option that we have aside from Zemgus and Dylan Cousins is Anthony Cirelli, who's still in free agency. The Tampa Bay Lightning don't have money whatsoever in their salary cap room. So if I were to offer him a 1-year deal, he only wants 0.875. Even 2 years I could get him on, because under 1.25 or less, it's no picks. So I could easily pick up Anthony Cirelli, but is that something that I want to do? I don't think he really has much room or place on this team, so it would definitely be doable, but is it something we even should do? That's the question. Kyle Okposo, we still want to think about moving him. We have about almost $5 million of cap space, and Kyle Okposo would free it up even more, would give us over $10 million to have something around 11. And in next season, we don't have many extensions, just Jokiharju, I think. So that's just a question for long term. Do we keep Kyle Okposo? What do we do with the fourth line? What do we do with Dylan Cousins? And I think we can simulate through the preseason and see an idea of how we are looking with all of that taken care of. A little taste of how we would look if the season were to start, understandably going up against weaker teams. 6-2 win, 7-3 win, 2-0 win, 4-2 loss, a 4-3 shootout win, followed by one final 6-3 loss. We went 4-3-0 in the preseason. Also, concerning the players that I said I wanted to scout, I can't even scout Cirelli or even Michael Rasmussen, because for Rasmussen, he's in the AHL, and if I scouted him, they would give me his AHL line fit. And for Cirelli, I can't even scout him because he's not playing, so he's not eligible to be scouted. So that's a bit of a buzz. I'd have to make it would be blind faith if I traded for them. Eichel 9-7, Reinhart 8, Skinner, Olofsson, Granlund, and Dahlin all going a point per game. Gurionov with 3, Puljujarvi with 4. The plus minus of the third line is worrying. Puljujarvi, Middlestat, -5, Cahoon, -4, Colin Miller, a -5. With that contract, he definitely has to pick it up. Bottom 6 was not good at all. Sheesh! -5 for Hayden Fleury, -3s for Okposo, Zemgus. Yikes, that was not pretty. Linus Ullmark went 3-2-0 with 1 shutout, 900 save percentage, and a 2.8 goals against average. Hutchinson was not good at the backup position, but he had a good end of the season last year, so we'll trust him for now, I think, at least. Also, we have to remember our captains and alternates here, because we traded away Marcus Johansson and Jake McCabe, the 2 alternates. So Jack Eichel remains captain of the team. I think 1A can go to Rasmus Ristolainen. I know he wants to leave in real life, but with the new management, we've gotten him on board. He's been here for a while. I like to give him an A. And crazy enough, but for the longest serving Buffalo Sabre, I think, is he the longest serving one? Maybe. I want to give it to Big Z, Zemgus. Get an A on your jersey, my friends. So Jack Eichel's captain, with our alternates being Zemgus Girgensson and Rasmus Ristolainen. I was close to giving one to Skinner or Reinhart as well, but their time will come down the road. Same with Dahlin and probably Middlestat. So the final thing to do in this episode, the scouts are already sent out, is just to go and browse the trade blocks heading into next season. Like usual, it's probably just going to be prospects and picks, but there are some players, bigger contracts like Cam Fowler's we wouldn't want. Josh Manson, that's an interesting piece, but we just want to look at more players we can get for the shorter term, because we already have the long term kind of set up. Antti Ranta would be definitely an interesting piece. If Linus Ullmark was not working, he could be just the starter for 1 season, making only 4 point something at an 85 overall. Prospects picks, James Reimer, Jordan Stahl, can't take that. Mike Green, he's still alive. More first round picks, draft picks, Eddie Lack and Oscar Dansk, second round. James Neal has 3 years left. Now Alex Chiasson, bah. Owen Tippett is on the block, so is Hepanyemi, 2 decent prospects. Spurgeon, crazy contract. Can't do that. First round picks, Johnny Boychuk still making $6 million. Ryan Ellis is a great contract in terms of his salary, but 7 years and full trade bar value is not going to happen, even though he's on the block. Matthias Ekholm, 2 years left at 3.7. That's a very nice contract. Quite a bit of trade value, though. Yannick Weber, Corey Crawford's an 86 at the age of 35. Kevin Hayes, Matt Niskanen. Wayne Simmons went back to Philadelphia, signing a 1-year, $6.2 million deal, and they immediately slap him on the trade block. How about that? First round pick, Vlasic, Seabrook, and Ruta. Yikes. More prospects. Anthony Cirelli, of course. First round picks, Jay Beagle and Carl Hagelin. Lucas Johansson went... No, sorry, he's still on the block. This is Winnipeg here. Christian Vesalainen on the block. 77 overall, medium elite. As a comment said, very interesting if I wanted to go after him, but it would cost us Dylan Cousins. Looking at our entire team, if we're thinking about trades, this is the trade value that our team holds. Not very much outside of the players that we like, the ones that we love, the ones that we wouldn't touch, all up here. Cousins is definitely tough. I don't know, 19 years old, 78 overall. Do we call him up to the NHL? That's the tough part, because if maybe I should have put him in the preseason, but even then, it's not a good example in the preseason that much. But do I call him up? That's a good question. Aside from that, this is everyone else's trade value. Colin Miller looks like that. Zemgus looks like that. Other players that we aren't really going to be touching. And all the way at the bottom is Kyle Okposo, who teams do want him, but we'd have to retain some salary for the next 3 seasons if we were to try and move him. Goalie category, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen's there, and just rookie skaters in general, not too much. And our draft pick situation, we have a 1st, a 2nd, 5th, 6th, 7th in the upcoming 2021 draft. But actually, even if I went to try to call up Dylan Cousins, it's not letting me because I didn't have him here in the preseason. Why can't I call him up? The season is still like 3 days away from starting. I'm supposed to be able to get like what, the 9-game trial or something, but it's not even letting me call him up. It says that he's just destined to be in the juniors, so that's very unfortunate. He'll be stuck in the juniors for another season where his trade value will likely continue to drop. I really wanted to give him a shot on this team because it would be realistic to do so, because he's one of the Sabres' biggest prospects in the current day. So I believe that's it for this one, boys and girls. Heading into the regular season, the coaching could be a bit better for the NHL and the AHL in terms of our special teams, especially for the NHL. But we're going to leave it like that heading into the regular season, where we'll likely do another 2-parter where we will stop at the trade deadline. But let me know your thoughts on the bottom 6, any changes, any trades we should make, as I had mentioned throughout the looking at the lines. Remember that our watch list looks like this if we were to go out and try to get anybody. A lot of them are on expiring deals. Michael Rasmussen's one we were really talking about a lot. I forgot to mention about much of Josh Anderson, a power forward who says it doesn't fit any of our lines. That's the unfortunate thing. Dumoulin costs a little bit too much. That was another suggestion, but this is the watch list as of now. Mikko Koivu and Joe Thornton went to the LA Kings. End up getting paid pretty handsomely. So off-season 1 comes to a close, ready for the 2020-2021 regular season for year number 2 at the helm of the Buffalo Sabres. And thank you to all of you in the comments section for all of your suggestions and your advice concerning the franchise. Couldn't do it without all of the assistant GMs out there. Very much appreciated. And the last thing that I would say is that for the live stream in about a week's time, what team should we do? Maybe we could decide it once we get into the live stream, but if you have any suggestions on who we should be doing the live stream franchise mode series with, please give me a suggestion now and we could start thinking about it. But without further ado, thank you so much for watching once again, and I will see you in the next one where we kick off season number 2 and go up to the trade deadline.